Hi, Brother Wilson. I would like to do a French lesson with Charity that focuses on learning the names of animals in French as well as some words that will help her get to know a little more about these animals. To begin, I would like to have a casual conversation with Charity and make sure her state anxiety is low. We will perhaps discuss her favorite animals and maybe her trip to the BYU-I Zoo with her family. As a pre-assessment to determine her moral development according to Kohlberg's stages, I will ask her about language and for what purposes we use it. I will also ask her why she might feel like learning another language can be beneficial and to explain why. Depending on her answers, we can determine what stage she is in. According to Piaget, Charity is at the end of the concrete operational stage and around the beginning of the formal operational stage. In these stages, she is exploring new ideas, her logical thought is pretty well developed, and she can relate multiple things very well, and she is becoming more sociocentric. To assess where she is according to Piaget, I will focus on the sociocentric aspect and ask her about how she views the roles of people in other countries, particularly France. Assessing the other areas will come as we proceed with the lesson. According to Erikson's stages of social development, Charity should be in the industry versus inferiority and or identity versus role confusion stages. To assess this, we will discuss how she views herself. Does she view herself as a Mormon girl from Rexburg, Idaho, or as a world citizen? Can she see herself making conversation and friendship with someone who comes from another country and or speaks another language? Can she see herself speaking French fluently someday and maybe even becoming a translator? And to assess her according to the industry versus inferiority stages, I will watch how she handles our lesson and how she responds to any mistakes she makes and her success. To measure her zone of proximal development, we will determine what she already knows in French by getting her to list or say anything she knows and what it means in English. We will then begin our lesson. That stays mostly within the cognitive domain. I will show Charity how she can use what she already knows about English to determine the meaning of some French words. Together we will go through some words that demonstrate this ability, and she will have the opportunity to practice this new skill. I want her to really learn something from this lesson, and I don't want her to simply regurgitate what I teach her back to me. To help with this goal, I will avoid expository and direct instruction. I will present her with a 3-section foldable that identifies the French names of animals usually found in zoos in the first section of the foldable. I will have one foldable as well to use as a prototype in the beginning, but then I will work alongside her, and I will not tell her what these animals are in English. Instead, I will focus on scaffolding her on some basic French pronunciation, such as the sound R makes in French and how the French don't make the TH or H sounds when they speak, etc. I will also provide her with some information on these animals in English and in French that will be sorted into the appropriate sections on the foldables. This foldable provides a visualization of what we are learning throughout the lesson. I will then instruct Charity when she cues me that she is ready on what we are going to do, and then we will do it. So we will go through a zoo that I have set up, and that will show a variety of wild animals and provide some basic information about them in French. Together we will explore these different exhibits and work to figure out which animals fit the descriptions and names and piece the rest of the foldable together. At first it may be difficult for her to accommodate for this language change, but with practice she will be able to do it. What we learn about the relationship between English and French will help achieve this. Overall, I want to encourage intrinsic motivation in her rather than extrinsic motivation. To avoid over-scaffolding and promoting learned helplessness, I will make sure she takes the lead. How she deals with this and the whole lesson overall will really show where her levels of self-esteem and self-efficacy are. I will also encourage her to place the small pictures of the animals I have provided on the foldable first. This will help her avoid depending on English too much and creating an extra step as she proceeds from idea, the animal, to French. The physical arrangement of the room and the activity I have prepared will hopefully increase her situational interest, but to help, there will also be snacks for us to enjoy as we walk around the zoo. By the way, these snacks will not be used as any form of reinforcement to act a certain way, and I will introduce it at an appropriate time so that it does not interfere with her learning. As we finish up with our lesson, Charity will have filled out her foldable, which she can then use as a mnemonic device that she can look back at to help her with any failure to retrieve or store later on. Throughout the lesson, I will use instructional language with her and be sure to keep appropriate proximity to her. Overall, hopefully we won't encounter any misconceptions that will hinder her opportunity to display what she has learned. To discourage the decay of what she has learned, I will suggest that she continue learning French, teaching French to her siblings, and even impress her relatives who know the language with her knowledge of the language. Hi Charity, I would like to teach you a lesson focused on learning French. I will teach you some basic rules for pronunciation, and I heard you and your family are going to take a trip to the zoo, so we are going to focus on learning the French names of animals you may have seen there. Also during our lesson, we will view these animals, learning more than just their names in French and English. It will be lots of fun, and I hope to make it an enjoyable experience for you. See you soon.